Welcome to Total Retail Talks, your podcast channel for retail knowledge.
Hi, I'm Joe Keenan, the editor-in-chief of Total Retail, and welcome to this episode of Total Retail Talks. I'm here at the CRMC show in Chicago, and I am joined on this episode by Chris Ebel, who is the AVP of CRM and marketing at Pep Boys. And Chris actually spoke here at the show, and we're going to talk to him a little bit about his session. So thanks for joining me, Chris.
Yeah, nice to be here.
So I want to get us started by having you tell the audience a little bit about your role with Pep Boys as well as the organization as a whole.
Yeah, absolutely. So my role at Pep Boys is really to lead all of our customer acquisition and retention efforts. So I focus primarily on our omni-channel media strategy, as well as our email and SMS programs. So kind of full circle customer life cycle marketing.
And you're speaking here at CRMC about the tracking the path to purchase. So talk a little bit about why that's so critical, not just specifically to Pep Boys, but to all retailers and marketers today.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, I think if we just think about retail in general, you have a path to purchase that usually starts in today's day and age online. People research. Your website is kind of a portal to folks learning about your products and services, and then ultimately a transaction is completed in a brick and mortar location. Particularly in our industry, like we're in the automotive service space, so there's not really anything. You can make purchases online on our website, but all the actual purchase is fulfilled in a store. And so, really we need a way to connect the online to the offline. And so that's where developing really solid attribution is so critical, because we need a way to track how people are engaging and researching and understanding what they want to purchase before they actually come into the store, and then be able to close the loop and know, okay, this customer did all these things along their path to purchase away from our brick and mortar store, came in, and then be able to measure what they purchased, the associated revenue and bottom line profit, so that we can really make the business case to continue to invest in the marketing program.
And then you can market to that customer more intelligently going forward. They're better understanding their behavior, and then you're absolutely surfacing, more relevant communications to them.
Yeah, 100%. It helps us understand, what that customer. I mean, if we think about just the automotive service life cycle in general, people typically get their car serviced on a schedule. So if a customer came in and got an oil change, and I can track that via a transaction, I know that 6 months from now they're going to need another one, or I know that 3 months from now they're probably going to need a brake job. So it helps me be a lot more informed, not only from what channels we market through and how we reach that customer's attention, but also what product or service they're going to need next.
So you talked about connecting the dots in the omni-channel world and that attribution piece and why it's so critical. So you were joined on stage by Melissa Torres of Zeta. Talk about the relationship and how that organization is helping Pep Boys when it comes to that omni-channel attribution piece.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've been working with Zeta for about a year now, and with them we've onboarded their CDP. So they've been critical in helping us create centralized, unified customer records to where we have a full 360 view of our customers. We understand not only what media they're engaging with, the actions they take on our website, but then we can track that all the way down to a service work order that's completed into the store, and all of that gets stored on a customer's record. So it creates a really just a complete unified customer record of who that person is. That data also gets blended with Zeta's proprietary data set that tells us interests and behaviors, engagements with other brands. So it really helps us paint like a very clear picture of who that customer is and how they've transacted with Pep Boys across their entire life cycle.
So when you have that better understanding of how they've interacted with Pep Boys across their entire life cycle, you can then, as we talked about, kind of better personalize and better understand how you want to market to that customer going forward. Can you talk about how you can use that information to create and improve future experiences? And also, I get the internal benefits too, that you probably, as you understand attribution better, that you can spend more intelligently and optimize your return on ad spend, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think a big component, particularly in our industry, is kind of what I alluded to earlier. It's knowing what that customer last purchased, and we also have every vehicle that comes into our bays gets what we call a customer vehicle inspection. So we're doing a multi-point inspection on every vehicle that comes in. And if a customer kind of declines service that we recommend, all of that data gets passed back into Zeta. So we know that, okay, their brakes are wearing, their tires are wearing. And so we can use all of that to intelligently craft campaigns that either push that next service that we think they're going to want, and then we have a better understanding as to what channels they engage with. So that really helps us craft both our media strategy as well as our email and SMS strategy. And then absolutely building internal credibility is one of the biggest strengths of having a program like this. Like, our ability to directly tie our marketing spend down to bottom line profit that we can attribute to our work order is critical in getting buy-in from the leadership and organization, and building confidence on their side to continue to invest in marketing as a growth driver.
And then can you talk about kind of the different stages of the customer life cycle at Pep Boys, from when a customer first engages with the company through to some of the longer and loyal customers, and how your approach may differ for the customer just coming in that you've acquired versus somebody that's been going to Pep Boys for years and years?
Yeah, absolutely. So, with the customers that have been with us for a long time, it's really about having a really fine-tuned CRM strategy. We have enough historical data about that customer to understand the cadence at which they come in and do service with us. We use, for, let's say, oil changes, for example. Like, we use a blanket average for new customers that they're going to need an oil change every 6 months or so. With an existing customer, if that customer chooses to come in more frequently, we have a better pulse on that. We know when to reach out to them and when not to. So I think that's a really key component.
How about tracking just something that's probably unique to your business is vehicles? So a customer may be loyal to Pep Boys. They get a new car. You don't know about that vehicle and its maintenance history. So that's another kind of wrench that you're throwing into the, tracking different vehicles for individual customers.
Yeah, that's a unique challenge for us as an industry. With most retail organizations, when you think about having a customer data platform, like, you're talking about people and their behavior. Right. With us, the customer is really twofold. It's the person, and then it's their vehicle. And so, we have a really good kind of unified understanding of who that customer is. And that's really what we like to focus on is who the person is and what drives their decision making. And then as soon as we see a new vehicle come in, we can now craft marketing that speaks to, an individual that may have two cars, yeah, or if they get a new car. And then we're continuing to evolve that way. But, I'd be lying if I said that there's not sometimes a disconnect between one vehicle to another. But it's something that, as we get more mature with leveraging our CDP, we're starting to get a better understanding as to, how we know if a person has gotten a new vehicle and where their old vehicle has gone.
Yeah. And there's probably opportunities where you can market to an entire household. So
absolutely.
Husband, wife, kids maybe drive, the older kids are driving. So there's probably multiple vehicles within the same household.
Yep. Absolutely.
And then omnichannel attribution and kind of how that factors into marketing strategy and CRM strategy. That's an ongoing kind of never-ending cycle, right? So what ideally does success look like for Pep Boys if you get omnichannel attribution right?
The way that I would define success for us is we have such a great understanding as to what media channels and what messaging helps us accomplish X goal, to where we're kind of building a toolkit to where if we need to go, drive incremental sales by, a certain percentage against a certain audience, we kind of know exactly what levers to pull and what the expected outcomes are going to be. And so as we continue to learn more, that's really what we're trying to build. It's just tools in the toolkit that we can go get out whenever we need to, and we can have a really good understanding as to what the result's going to be.
And the frequency with which you're I imagine that's day in, day out. That's something that's continual for you guys.
Yeah, we're always learning and always improving. So it's definitely an evolving process.
Great. Well, I want to take the opportunity to thank Chris Ebel, AVP of Marketing and CRM at Pep Boys, for joining us today here at CRMC. Yeah. Thank you, Chris.
Yeah, thank you. It was great.
Thanks for listening. For more information on this podcast, please check out our podcast channel page at mytotalretail.com/podcasts for show notes. Total Retail Talks is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and Spotify. Make sure to subscribe on our podcast channel page as well. If you've enjoyed this episode, please take a few moments to rate and review this podcast. Thanks, and until next time, this has been Total Retail Talk.